This is why I come to the antique stores. Just sitting here minding its own business. Yeah, I'll take it. Hey everybody, what's happening? Willie here at The Great Outdoors. As you've seen on that very first clip, I went to the antique store. Why did I go? Because there was a couple hours left before they closed. I have been outdoors all day, but I've been working on everything from little buddy heaters to picking up the big old limbs out of the yard from the storms that we've had and the winds and everything. And I got a bunch of oak trees, and you know, you could go outside and look up in there all you want. You won't see a dead limb, but as soon as you have some rain and wind, you'll find them. So anyway, spent a lot of time doing that. Had a couple hours left at the end of the day. Told my wife, I said, hey, I'm heading up to Williamsburg, going to hit the old antique mall, just see what's in there. Didn't have any real intentions or expectations, really, because I kind of know everything that's in there. Strangely enough, I saw about 4 or 5 reels tonight that I've never seen before. So they had just brought those in. But again, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to take heed of what you're looking at. Mitchell, for example. Everywhere you go, you will find a Mitchell of some order, usually a 300. It's just how it is. The Mitchell and Garcia Mitchells have been around for so long, but everybody thinks they have something when they have one. And I found several of those there tonight that I'd never seen before that were in the $35 to $55 range. And I'm like, come on, people, do your homework here. It's a Mitchell. They're everywhere. Saw lots of other reels, but nothing that I really wanted. Well, the last aisle in the place, that is where you saw the beginning clip of this video. That was the very last aisle. Started on the left, worked my way all to the right, and was walking down the last aisle midway down. Shakespeare, $17.95, just laying there on a dresser. Okay, this particular booth was really antique furniture. It was all vintage and antique furniture. That's all that was in there. And then this reel just laying on a dresser. Now, they number these things. The people, the booths, the vendors, they have their own number. And I checked the ticket that was on it to see whether or not it belonged in that booth. And it did. It was in that booth. So for whatever reason, they had a bunch of furniture and one Shakespeare reel. $17.95. It's in pretty good shape, beat up around the edges, which is typical of most any spin cast reel. I don't care if it's a Zebco, a Johnson, a Daiwa, a Shakespeare. These caps, they take the grunt of every drop, every fall, whatever. They catch them all, these big caps. And they're aluminum, so they're not super strong in any way, shape, or form. This one's got a dent in it, but you can tell, and then you can see on the switch here, the button, where it's been laid and it's rubbed and stuff. So it has seen some action, which I believe is cool. The foot is in great shape. It's been on a rod, but it has not been broken or cracked or busted off. They have some massive line on here. Looks to be about like a 20-pound test. That's my guess. It's pretty thick. Now, the $17.95 is a beast of a reel, as Dan Selvig told me. He said, yes, that is a beast. It's huge. Is it? Yes, it is. This thing is heavy. I mean, it's like holding a softball in your hand. It's just massive. Your drag is on the outside, obviously behind the crank arm. It is a standard style, spin cast push button. It works. Everything seemed to work, but I got to get this line off of here, and we got to get inside this thing and see how it looks, and then get it cleaned up and find it. Well, I've got a rod over here that I've been talking about. It's one of them Shimano scimitars. Now everybody gets mad at me because I call it a scimitar. People, I know it's scimitar, okay? But yeah, I got that massive scimitar, a huge Shimano rod over there. I think this big old boy would go pretty well on there. If we can get it to work right, which it seems like it is. So maybe it's just a good cleaning, and there we go. So anyway, let's get you down to the table and get this thing tore apart. We got one bowl left because my other bowl is full of Shakespeare 2062 parts. Hopefully we don't have a 1795 bowl full of parts too. I don't have enough bowls for all these parts. All right, we got one little bowl here. We actually have two bowls, but I've got lures in that bowl. We'll use this little bowl right here. First off, let's get this nasty line cut off of here. Hopefully this stuff won't break my scissors. All right, let's just snip this short right there. Take this cap off. Yep, we're looking at something fairly typical there. Everything is functioning. That's good. I've really enjoyed this whole rescuing reels thing. Yeah, we got some old funk in there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that twists part the way and then just pops off there. These are the parts that always scare me. I was wondering if somebody's already been in here and messed something up. There are some scars on the screws, so somebody has been in here before. That probably should have been done second. Doesn't look too bad in there. Alright, note to self. Take the crank side off first from now on. Because now I've got to figure out how that spring goes back in there. Sit in it. Wow. There's a whole lot of parts in this darn thing. It's taken me a little bit to figure out how it all functions. That bottle opener looking thing faces the right. Because this is push button up here, so that faces out to the right. Looks like there's a C-clip on the bottom. Let's push that up. I say let's push that up. That'll barely move, so that really needs to be cleaned. Okay, so we're going to work on this a piece at a time. I'm not going to take all that apart. I'm going to take this apart, clean it up, and then put it back together. Got it on the first shot. Okay, so the C-clip came off, so that means that the gear is going to slide right on up out of the spring. I mean, the shaft is going to slide up out of the spring and out of the gear, which is right there. So let's take a look at the shaft first. There's the shaft. It looks terrible. Here is the gear, which does that? Yes, it has two washers, or is that one washer? One washer that faces up. Okay, that washer faces up to the bottom of the reel. And as we said, the bottle capper faces to the right. This gear, is there any difference? Doesn't appear to be. So you can put that gear in there any way you want. There's a little wear on that gear, just a little bit. And we'll take this housing and we're going to clean this stuff up. Come back, put this back together, and then work on the rest. Okay, we're back. I've got the body all cleaned up, put back together. There's nothing much to that, but I cleaned the cap up, cleaned the rotor up, got that all nice and clean. Now we're going to dig into the part that scares me to death. This mechanism here. Because that looks like a whole lot of stuff. Alright. Now, is there a star washer under there? Yes, there is a star washer under that acorn nut. Take the crank off there. Now, does this one unscrew? Yep. And, oh, okay, I see how that works. Okay, so, wow, look at all that stuff coming out of there. We have a spring that goes on the shaft there. let's set that in here. That's steel because it's stuck right in there. There's no washers, nothing that I can see. Center section comes out. That's how your drag works, because it pulls back tight inside the gear. So what we're going to do before we go too far, before we take that apart, is we're going to go clean these parts up and get them nice and clean. And I'll also, on the center section of this gear, you have a little spacer spinner piece. Okay, you got to remember that's there. I lost one of those once, and I had a very negative attitude after that, people. Let me tell you. Fortunately, it's made of steel and it's magnetic. Okay, so let's go before we take that part apart, let's go clean this stuff up. Okay, all that is clean. I really need more bowls. I don't have enough. Alright, well, it loosens in a normal direction. So as you can see, we have a nut. Yep, we have a washer. Okay, nut, washer. Oh, there's some kind of spring thing going on in there. What is that? Oh, well, there's what I didn't want to happen. Now I've got to figure out how the spring goes back on there. Alright, well, let's go clean these two big pieces up here. Actually, we need to clean those up. This is where things are going to get interesting, because now I've got to put this thing back together and try to remember how. There's a few pieces here of things and stuff and so forth that just don't make sense to me. I got to figure out how the spring came off of here. This is going to be fun. Okay, I think I actually got that right. Yep, it looks like I got that right. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't normally impress myself very often, because a lot of times I manage to get things done simply by luck. But remembering how to get that one back together again, and actually getting it back together on the first go around and getting it to work, I'm impressed myself. I must be getting better. That's all I can figure. I got to be getting better at this, because I definitely got that back together without any real issues. The only thing that bothered me was a spring issue. I had to figure out how to get the spring back on for the anti-reverse. But once you really look at it, there's only one way it can go. And that was the way that I put it. So right now I'm doing that thing I love. I'm wiping all the grease and the excess oil and fingerprints and all that off of it. And all we need is a chance to get out and use it. I've got quite a list of these doggone things right now that we need to get out and use. I got some that need work, and I got some that... Something's still weird about this thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's working though. That's the sounds you want to hear. Everything's doing what it should do. The drag is I don't know if the springs just wore out or what, but 2 drag bushings in there looked really good. They looked fine. So all in all, I'm happy with it. I think it was a good investment. Can't wait to get it out on the water, to be honest with you. I got quite a few like that right now. But I got one of them skimmy jammies. What is this again? This is a 65 is what the EF is labeled as. $17.95. It's a beast. This whole display rescue thing I never thought was going to pan out like it is. But we sure are rescuing some here recently. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Whatever the next one may be. Any other time I would have said it probably wouldn't be a reel, but it's starting to look that way.